Have you burned your way through all of your podcasts, all of your audiobooks, all of your Netflix queue, and you just are dying for something, anything, to fill the emptiness of day-to-day quarantine life? Then what you need is the War for the Tower podcast. Listen, it may be an actual play RPG podcast set in Stephen King's Dark Tower universe, but that doesn't mean that you need to have read The Dark Tower or even have heard of The Dark Tower. However, if you haven't read The Dark Tower, you should definitely check out Unspoiled Dark Tower with me and Miles. Just go and listen to it. Support our sponsor, support us, make everybody happy, especially your ear holes, and just get through the interminable emptiness of existence. That's War for the Tower on your podcatcher, or head to warforthetower.com. This is an Unspoiled Network podcast. This is Unspoiled, covering Doctor Who, Season 5, Episode 12, The Pandorica Opens. In this episode, Rory's back, kind of. This episode made me cry a little bit. Welcome to Unspoiled. Welcome to the show, everybody. I am Natasha.
I'm Jamie. It's taken this long. It finally made you cry.
I cried during fucking Van Gogh.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and I cried during another one, too, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I've cried during this show before. No, I cried during the one with her dad, Rose and her dad.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, well then, I take it back.
Yeah. But this episode, just like, it starts off so weird that I really was just like, I don't know what we're doing here. You know, we're back with Van Gogh, as I hear it's supposed to be said.
It's just like phlegm noises.
Anytime a language involves that kind of like throat sound.
Yeah.
I wonder what the percentage is of like people who get sick versus not. Because I assume that you are spitting all over everyone around you. And it might not be visible, but like that has to increase the likelihood that you're just projectiling germs out your mouth, right? I would assume.
He would think.
But yeah, so we start off with him and he's like having a weird sort of attack. It's like almost like he had a vision and his brain can't handle it or something.
I think that is what happened, yeah.
And so he painted something, and we don't see until much later what it is. But it's the TARDIS like breaking apart, which we have seen evidence that this will happen because of what the Doctor grabbed out of the crack. So, and we go to like London, 1941, and our robot buddy
Bracewell.
That's the one. He has the painting, and he is showing it to Churchill and being like, "This is a message that you have to deliver." And we jump from him. He's making like a phone call, and he is apparently calling River, who is in jail. No?
He's calling the Doctor.
Oh, why does her phone ring then? I thought he calls her with like a magical thing.
He calls, because that's how he got a hold of the Doctor the first time. He has a number to call the Doctor. Oh. But it reached her because I think the TARDIS kind of rerouted it to her to get her involved.
Okay. Well, I did not catch that. That was what was going on. Forgive me. River is in jail and stylish as hell, as usual. dude who is picking up the phone here is bullied basically into giving it to her because she has rights to her phone call. Mm-hmm. And Churchill tells her, you know, that some shit is going down. And she asks this dude, is it your first day? And
she asks if he's new.
Sorry. Oh, right. And he says, yeah, my first day. And she's like, okay, sorry. And she kisses him. And then we jump to this wonderful moment of him holding up his gun and saying that she tried the hallucinogenic lipstick on me, but your tricks won't work this time. And then the camera slowly pans around and it's just a little drawing on the wall that's her little curly haired stick figure that just says bye. Which is honestly one of the funniest things the show has ever done.
I like to imagine River like drawing that picture and just laughing.
Right? I would I wonder how she got him to let her out. I don't really need to know.
Well, she used a hallucinogenic lipstick.
Right. But like he's hallucinating that drawing is her, right?
It probably has some sort of not mind control, but like suggestion.
Right. Yeah, I could see that. And then we cut to the Royal Collection in the year, what was it?
5145. It's the same year that she's in.
And the Queen, that we all agree should be dead because she's terrible, is here.
No, she's not terrible. Oh, right, because she allowed all those. Yes, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like, no, I like Liz 10.
Yeah, you know, apart from the
space whale torture.
Yeah, space whale torture, sacrificing children, yada, yada, yada. The usual, you know. But she comes down and is demanding to know who the fuck River thinks she is, breaking in here. This is the Royal Collection. I'm the fucking queen. What you doing? And River's like, well, you know who the doctor is. And look at this. We need to show this to him. It's very important.
Now, here's my question. And this is a very small quibble. This is the Royal Collection. Mm-hmm. This place is in disarray.
Very much.
She's been the queen for a very, very long time. She's never noticed this painting?
It is hanging in a position of great prominence.
Right. And she looks at it like she's never seen it before.
That's true.
So that's my main quibble with most of this episode is like, why didn't she understand? Like, she's seen the TARDIS by this point. I assume that she saw it when she met him on the space whale. Did she maybe
not actually have it? Did it somehow, like, wibbly wobbly just get into her collection overnight?
That's possible.
You know, like, I don't know. I don't know
I don't know how
wibbly wobbly when things don't work out the way that we think. So then we cut to her cutting a deal with some guy, the Maldovarium 5145. I don't remember what it is that she wants from this dude.
He offers her a vortex manipulator, which is kind of it's that thing that Jack would wear.
Oh, so that she can teleport?
Yeah. Because he says it's a vortex manipulator taken from the wrist of a time agent, and then he opens it up and he's like, I said from the wrist.
Oh my god, that's what he meant. Gross. I miss that. Listen, I have to say yet again how amazing River looks. This scene where she basically, there's a real casino feel to this. Like she's about to, like, you know, there's just something seedy elegant. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That kind of combo.
She's just the best.
I mean, she just looks great. It makes me want to, like, wear my hair like this somehow, do something like this.
I can't even tell you how many times watching this episode in my head I was like, God damn what I would do to have hair like hers. Like,
listen,
I would I would consider cutting off part of my arm.
Ma'am, I urge you to reconsider.
I don't know what I'm willing to give because I'm not planning on having children, so I can't offer my firstborn. But I would do almost anything to have this hair and have it actually stay this hair and not go back to straight like curly hair always does on me.
Yeah, it's like, this hair is... Look, I've been having a good time with it lately. I haven't bleached it in a while, so it's very ringlety. And right now, big hair is very much in style. Mm-hmm. So I am able to just wear it as it is, and it's, it's fine. But what a trial it was in the 90s, man. When everybody wanted Kate Moss straight, like Marsha Brady parted down the middle hair. It was,
I never did. I still always wanted huge hair.
That's the thing that makes me so sad, is that I should have been able to appreciate it despite what the style dictated, because nowadays I can do that. I'm like, yeah, this isn't really in style, but I like it. It looks better. I'm doing this. But at the time, I was just forming my opinions on what I should look like and what expectations there were. And everything was modeled after skinny white girls. So I just felt like everything about how I looked was wrong, basically. And I had big hair that was curly. I had freckles. I had a big butt. Everything about the way I looked was not what it was supposed to be. And
all those things are things that people are like trying to get fake now.
Yeah, exactly.
Including the freckles, which I'm like, seriously?
I get real touchy about that. Like, I know it's not really a big deal and I shouldn't get as like irritated about it as I do. But I was teased for my freckles and I felt very self-conscious about them for a while. And to now see people drawing them on.
Or wearing those. Do you remember those sticker things? It was a couple years ago, a lot of the beauty bloggers were putting them on. They're like this little panel of freckles. It's like a sticker, and then they would put makeup over it so you couldn't see the sticker part. They never looked good.
That is just too much effort. Like, far be it from me to, I haven't seen them. I don't know how they look. I assume they look terrible. But it's also just too much effort. Come on, guys. But yeah, this is the thing about like beauty, is that we never seem to learn that like what we value is just ephemeral, and tastes change, and bodies that we don't value now were valued highly at another time or will be valued again. And maybe we should just can the values. Maybe that's the problem. But it's really hard to keep that in mind when your value as a human being is judged according to those things.
Yeah.
So anyway, River looks great. And she has put micro explosives into his drink.
Yeah.
And then bargains with him with an earring, by the way, which is a great piece of jewelry that I also want. That this thing will disable any micro explosives within 20 feet, to which he's like, well, what is a micro explosive? And she's like, well, it's the thing that I just put in your wine. And he stops and is like, what? And I'm like, I mean, could you not have just traded him some micro explosives and this earring for the thing? Maybe you didn't need to threaten his life, River. Maybe you don't need to go to 11 right out of the gate with negotiations.
Well, she's probably negotiated with this guy before.
Maybe.
And knows that he, like, jacks up the price to a point where she can't afford it because she just broke out of jail. She doesn't really have any money. And she has these earrings to offer. When she holds the one out to offer it to him, he's basically like, please. That's not enough.
Yeah,
until she explains, true. Like, yeah, but it deactivates these explosives. And he's like, what am I going to do with explosives? She's like, well, I put them in your drink. Which means that he's going to explode. He wants to save himself, so. He will gladly then.
That. I understand how that works.
I think that she has
Jamie.
probably dealt with him before and knows how he operates. And so she has to come in with like, all right, I'm going to blow you up.
Listen, you tell yourself whatever you need to tell yourself.
I'm
to
Team
make
River.
This make sense. It's fine. So then we go to the doctor, who is going to the first recorded writing of mankind.
Well, it's the first recorded writing in the entire universe.
It
doesn't say mankind.
History.
In recorded history,
Right.
yeah.
Yes.
And no one's ever been able to translate it.
And he opens the door, and it's this wall of rock with these enormous mushrooms. If there's a real feel here of like Honey, I Shrunk the Kid. And it says, "Hello, sweetie." And then there's like some symbols, which he says later are coordinates.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty good moment. I enjoyed this. "Hello, sweetie." Oh, River. I need to get a fucking catchphrase like that so that everybody knows.
Yeah,
that
hers
way.
are "Hello, sweetie" and spoilers.
Right. Yeah, I need some, like, so that when I make my mark in history, everybody will know.
Well, isn't yours
You know.
Toodaloo motherfuckers?
Nah, I mean, I took it from a tweet or a text or whatever, you know, a little Pusheen rolling away on his little scooter. So, it's not mine.
You made it yours.
I guess. Yeah. That's the only thing I kind of miss about the Eagle High Five, which those of you who are new to Unspoiled or like haven't listened to Song of Ice and Fire, you won't know what I'm talking about. But my ex-husband and I, when we started that show, he created the Eagle High Five to end our episodes. Mm-hmm. And it was exactly what it sounds like. We would just yell caw and then high five. And did it make sense? No. But did anybody else ever do such a thing? No. It was purely ours. And I do kind of like regret not having something that is just invented.
Yeah.
But, you know, she didn't invent "Hello, sweetie." That's fair. Anyway, so yeah, he looks at it and he gets this kind of like look on his face that at first he looks a little irritated, but then he starts to smile. And I think he's kind of like, "Oh, you." So he follows the coordinates and they are on Earth in Britain at 1:02. And then he looks and he's like, "Oh, I was going to say AM or PM." But he says like AM, then no PM, and then wait, no, AD. Mm-hmm. And at this point, we get the first of the hints that something weird is happening here, because Amy says that the Roman invasion was her favorite subject in school because it was all about hot Italians. Mm-hmm. To which I'm like, was it? Because listen,
they say Mark Antony was very handsome.
They say a lot of things. I
Right.
mean, even Cleopatra, I believe, was supposed to be like kind of not that attractive, and she just
Cleopatra-
had that something.
Yeah, everybody assumed because of the stories and the kind of influences she had that she was the most beautiful woman in the world. But when they actually like looked at the coins that had her face on them and recreated, I watched this whole show one time about them recreating her face. Mm-hmm. She was pretty plain. The thing was, she was very charismatic.
Yeah.
And that made her more attractive. She's very smart and very charismatic. And so people like just wanted to be around her, as we still do with people.
I'm just thinking about like, I don't remember what movie it is, but somebody's talking to Angelica Houston and they call her beautiful. And she says, "Well, I don't know about beautiful, but I do have tremendous sex appeal." And that's kind of what I imagine. Because, like, we all know... Wait, okay, let's be honest. how many women out there are like real hot for Adam Driver? But if you saw a picture of Adam Driver and was like, women go nuts for this guy, most people would be like, really?
We had this conversation in one of my groups with some friends of mine, and I was like, Adam Driver is not hot. What Adam Driver has is big dick energy.
It's true, though. He really does.
They were like, yep, you're right. That's it. That is what it is. He has so much BDE that you're like, is he hot? Wait, no, he's not. Is he, though?
He convinces you, but he's not trying to convince you. He doesn't care if you think it or not. You know,
I think
there's no effort involved.
I don't think he thinks it at all. I think that's one of the reasons he doesn't like to watch himself, is because he doesn't like to look at himself. Mm-hmm. He's very uncomfortable watching his own work. But I mean, there's something about him, but it's the charisma. It's not his face. He looks like one of those cats. He's not hot. Those cats. But I'll watch him in anything.
So yeah, that's
so Cleopatra had BDE.
Yeah, she has big dick. She's what does she got? Tight pussy energy? Is that how that would work? I feel like that doesn't really have the same sort of it roll off the tongue.
It doesn't. But you know what? Angelica Houston has that same thing. She's right about that.
Yeah, definitely.
God, and I know what you're talking about, and I feel like it was a TV show. Was it on Smash? She said that. Did you watch that?
I never watched Smash in my life.
Oh, okay. Maybe it was a movie then, but yeah.
But you know what? I'm saying that, and I don't even know if I actually watched the thing that I saw this quote in. It might have been like a clip or something, you know? Anyway, this dude runs up and says, "Hail Caesar," and you can see a smear of lipstick on the side of his mouth, and you're like, mm-hmm. And he takes the doctor and Amy to see Cleopatra, who is in Egypt and dead. Mm-hmm. It's pretty great. She has this, like, fucking wig on that is just bad news. It's this, like, crimped sort of 80s look.
It's like she watched either the Walk Like an Egyptian video or the Liz Taylor Cleopatra and was like, oh, that's what they think Cleopatra is. This black hair, you know, kohl eyeliner.
Sure. But I will say her titties look great. She's only got about an inch of cleavage showing, but what an inch it is. So, yeah, the doctor is just like, did you really need to go through all this? And she's like, you weren't answering your fucking phone. So, yes. And this is when she shows him the painting, and we get to finally see what it is. And
I got that poster for Christmas one year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little upsetting, man.
Yeah. I never hung it up because I'm an adult. And my aunt sent it to me, which I appreciate the gesture. Like, yes, I love Doctor Who and I love Van Gogh. It makes sense. But I'm a grown-up. And I don't hang posters anymore. So I don't know where it is now.
I can't believe I just heard that come out of your mouth.
What?
I'm an adult. So I don't hang posters anymore.
I feel like you get to a point where you can't hang posters anymore.
Why? Says
I don't know.
Who? Put it in a frame if you're going to be precious about it. Miss, I'm going to collect every pop doll I see, but I'm an adult, so posters are beneath me. Ma'am.
Look, I have levels, apparently, of my adultness.
You draw very arbitrary lines.
Okay, so maybe it's just my thing. I don't want to hang posters. I want to hang real art. Sorry.
What if somebody gave you like a reproduction so that it had like the brush strokes and it was like an actual oil painting?
That would be awesome.
Okay.
I would love that.
Well, somebody get on that.
Yes, please.
Somebody paint this Van Gogh.
My boyfriend could probably do it. If I really asked him. He's a good painter.
All right. So we go to the opening credits. And when we come back, they are discussing what this could be. She says date and map reference on the door sign, which that's pretty intricate. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a lot of numbers on there. I guess when she says map reference, that all of those numbers are coordinates?
It's probably what brought her to this specific point.
Okay. And the doctor asks if it has a title, and it is called The Pandorica Opens. And it's weird because this is all intercut with footage of the doctor on horseback. Like, they're having this conversation, but we're seeing him taking... Oops, I'm sorry, I hit my mic. We're seeing him taking action in the future at the same time.
Well, yeah.
I don't feel like this show does that kind of cut very often. They're pretty straightforward. It's funny to say about a show that is like constantly jumping back and forth in time that they're straightforward with their timelines, but you know what I mean. Like,
yeah, I think it's like they wanted to show them riding the horses to Stonehenge, but they also needed to get this exposition out, and it just dynamically moves better.
Yeah.
To have them sort of cut together.
And I like it. Like, it works for me. But it was just sort of... It threw me off because it's a style that you don't often see on this show. But yeah, they ride their horses to Stonehenge. And Amy is like, why is it old? And River's like, because it's old. I mean, they didn't just build this shit. Like, nobody knows how old it is. And apparently they're using this to, like, map where the Pandorica will be. Mm-hmm. And let's jump ahead to the Pandorica when we get there. There's, like, first of all, they find a fucking... Well, there's a trapdoor that opens.
To the Underhenge.
The Underhenge. It's a good name. I like it. And as they go downstairs, they pass by without apparently noticing.
It's behind one of the stones.
Yeah, okay, yeah. The head of a Cyberman.
Yeah.
And I cannot tell you guys the sigh of exasperation I let out at the sight of this fucking thing.
I knew it. When I was watching this yesterday, I was like, oh, she's going to get real irritated that she probably is going to think in this moment that this is a Cyberman episode.
So the thing is that this season has been good enough that I didn't. I saw it and I was like, fuck, is it? And then I was like, no, you know what? This is like the second to last episode of the season. The Pandorica has been set up from the beginning. I have a really hard time thinking that the Cybermen are like the sole. So I didn't think that they were... I didn't think what happens, which is that basically every one of the Doctor's enemies all ally together. Mm-hmm. But I did think that maybe the Cybermen were involved in, like, closing the thing up. Or, you know, that there was, like, I wasn't sure how old this thing was. This head that's sitting here. And you don't really find out until a little bit later when they do begin to move around and whatnot, which then kind of blew a hole in that theory, too, where I was just, like, thinking... Maybe they have something to do with, like, the creation of it or the, you know, planting it here or whatever. So I tried to give the episode the benefit of the doubt. My knee-jerk reaction was definitely like, ugh! But I got over it pretty quick and then was like, all right, well, you know what? I bet it's not what it looks like. So let's just be cool.
It also gives us that very great sight gag of the Doctor fighting with just an arm and Amy fighting with just a head.
Listen, that head, that's like a real like face hugger moment. Oof, do not care for it. There is something just like when something scuttles.
Yeah.
Ugh, no. It's like dealing with a giant electronic cockroach. So, yeah, they go through the door, they find this box, and the doctor is talking about how, he says there was a goblin or a trickster or a warrior, a nameless, terrible thing soaked in the blood of 1 billion galaxies, the most feared being in all the cosmos. And then nothing could stop it or hold it or reason with it. Imagine the fear that went into creating this thing. And I'm sitting there, and I will admit, I didn't see coming what they were doing. But I definitely was like, that sounds an awful lot like you, though, buddy. All of that does sound very much like you. And he even says something like, he would drop out of the sky and tear down your world. And I was like, mm-hmm. But I did not see the twist coming at all. He says something about how a good wizard tricked it.
Well, because Amy asks how the Pandorica was locked, and he says, like most fairy tales, a good wizard tricked it.
Right.
And, like, even to him, he didn't know the Pandorica was real.
Mm-hmm.
So even everything he's heard, it's a fairy tale.
Right. Yeah, I feel like if anybody should know that things aren't just fairy tales, it's the doctor, right? Is it just me that it doesn't quite ring true that he keeps dismissing it as a fairy tale? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like if he hasn't heard about it, then it's just a story.
Yeah, it's like everybody in the Harry Potter universe, like, laughing at Luna for believing in blibbering humdingers, but it's like, you know what, bitches? You've got fucking, like, Grindylows yanking your ankles down to drown you in the fucking lake. I wouldn't really be out here making fun of anybody for believing anything.
Right. You're fucking wizards.
Yeah, So I feel like him just constantly being like, it's not real. It's just a fairy tale. You guys are ridiculous. I'm just like, dude, you have come across an awful lot of things that you've never seen before. And you know a lot. So if you don't know before you run into a lot of these things that they existed, why are you so prepared to assume that you would know if this was real? Like, you just really don't seem to have learned a lot. And you
because
have
he's
this, like,
arrogant.
Impenetrable arrogance that it's just like, learn from your fucking experiences, my dude. But
he has to be the smartest person in the room.
That's what leads to him getting tricked and caught up in this thing. So then Amy says something about how the Pandora's Box was her favorite book when she was a kid, which makes the doctor stop and go and look at her. And he's sort of, like, interested in the fact that this coincidence, like, it seems a little too on the nose for both her favorite topic in school to be the Romans, her favorite book as a kid to be the Pandora's Box, and what does that mean? But they are a little bit busy because this thing is about to open, so he doesn't really have time to ponder this in particular.
He tells her that you should never ignore a coincidence unless you're busy, in which case, always ignore a coincidence.
So yeah, the security protocols are being disabled one by one, says River. It's being unlocked from the inside. And it all makes total sense once you know what's going on here. It's like triggered by his proximity, or it's triggered by like a timer that knows when he will arrive.
It's probably his proximity. They don't actually say, but they did set this as a trap, so.
Yeah. Yeah, River is the one that's sort of like, I feel appropriately concerned here. The doctor is still just curious. But River seems to be like, the way that all of this is unfolding, she seems to really be the most like, this feels wrong. Something hinky, as they say.
Well, she's a much more devious person. Mm-hmm. So for her, she's like, wait, this really feels like a trap.
Yeah.
And for him, he is like, psh, trap.
Yeah, he seems to be the kind of
interesting.
person that's like, even if it is a trap, I mean, I always get out of traps, so whatever, go ahead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's not expecting foul play, and she is.
Mm-hmm. So River says, you said everyone could hear it, so who else is coming? And he looks around and doesn't really seem to have an answer to that. He just says, oh. And then River is the one who's like, all right, you know what? Why don't I just do a little check of the perimeter of the planet, find out what's going on. And we find out that pretty much everyone is here. It's a party. Over at least 10,000 starships. And that's as much as she can count. There's too many readings. It could be 10,000, it could be 100,000, it could be 1,000,000. But they are maintaining orbit. And then we hear a Dalek voice. Now, when I heard the Daleks, after having seen the Cyberman head, I got pretty excited. Because I was like, are we going to see a Dalek versus Cyberman fight again? Because that was hilarious. But it turns out that there is even more than that. So, yeah, the Daleks landing. Amy knows what they are.
Yeah, well, she encountered Daleks when they went back to World War II.
Right, because I remember at World War II, she did not remember them.
She didn't, right.
Because of the thing.
Yeah.
So she does remember them now.
Yeah. Because of her experience with them.
Right.
But she still probably doesn't remember them coming to Earth and moving the Earth.
So, at this point, they go back up to the surface here, and the doctor is using his little binoculars to try and suss out what's happening. And River goes off on her own. I don't remember what makes her do this. What is she trying to accomplish here?
The doctor points out that they have the best fighting machine in the history of the universe, the Romans.
Which, I mean...
So he sends River back to the camp to get the Romans to come help. Okay.
I mean, and I'm here for the Romans, like, being used as a weapon, but are we really going to say that they're the best, fighting machine in the history of the universe? When the Daleks exist? They just, they're basically Romans, but, floating Romans that don't die.
Yeah, he maybe should have said in the history of Earth?
Of planet Earth, yeah.
Yeah. But no, not the universe. They still had fucking swords. Mm-hmm. There were just a lot of them, and they were able to conquer.
Right. Yeah, so she goes to talk to that guy who knows that she's full of shit, doesn't really understand exactly, why she was able to hoodwink everybody. And, they're holding her hostage sort of with these swords, and she pulls out her gun and, vaporizes a cabinet. Mm-hmm. And then is like, yeah, so there's shit going on that you don't understand. I could say that this was made by a god, that I'm a god. I'm not going to do that. It's real stupid. You know better. I really like the line that she's like, you've been in enough battles to know better than to think any gods are watching over us, I think is approximately how that was worded, which I rather liked. And so then we have Amy, and she's got this torch, and she's walking around this, this little cave situation, lighting all of these torches, which leads to her and the doctor getting kind of split up. And a Cyberman arm begins to fire at them.
Well, you're skipping where she asks him about the engagement ring that she found in his pocket.
Oh, does that happen right now?
Yeah.
Yes. Right. This is a bummer. We'll talk about it later. So let's talk about the Cyberman shooting.
Okay.
This makes me sad. Why are there pieces of a Cyberman around here?
I don't know.
Because, that was part of why I trusted that this wasn't a Cyberman episode, because I was like, probably it's something that killed Cybermen, because it's like parts of them having been, taken down that are hanging around.
Well, and it has a skull inside of it, so it had assimilated a person.
Right.
But it's like it exploded. Like, I don't know why it's in pieces or what made it be in pieces.
It is when that thing pops open and there's a skull. And she screams. Understandably, I mean. But then the skull just like drops out of it onto the floor with no... I thought that skull was going to do something. And it's just a skull. It's just like, just dead person, gone.
Yeah,
and then the
machinery
fucking helmet begins to like clomp at her face like a giant clam. I was cracking up.
It wants to turn a new person into a Cyberman so that it can be complete again.
Which I'm just like, what was it gonna do? Was it gonna just try and engulf her head and like smother her to death?
I don't know, because I don't know exactly how becoming a Cyberman works.
Because there's like...
where did they get all of those suits of armor to put on people?
And there's tons of wiring and cables and stuff in the neck.
Yeah.
So it's clearly not just like a person in there. Like they take parts. Have we ever seen one like properly cut open to see what's going on in there? Is it just their brains or they're just their heads?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I have no idea.
Well, the doctor is distracted by the arm. She is distracted by the head. The head eventually crawls away and joins up with the body that is hanging out here, waiting for it. And the body picks up the head and puts it back on its neck, which really shouldn't do anything because none of the cables are connected. I don't see any welding torches around. Good luck, buddy. But apparently it still works. And it starts to come at her. She gets driven back into this room, closes the door. It seems like it had darted her in the neck, which is supposed to like slow her down. It doesn't actually make her pass out, which I was waiting for. And the effect of it does seem to wear off. And
well, she ends up passing out eventually.
Oh, was it from that?
Yeah.
I thought it was from the shock of seeing Rory, even though she didn't remember him. I thought
that
it was
remember
like
him yet.
I thought it was like her brain short circuiting. Do you know what I mean? Like she's not supposed to remember him, and that something in her just kind of reacted, and it basically was like, nope, bedtime, because her brain couldn't handle what she was seeing. But
no, it's
okay.
It's the dart is working slowly because she pulled it out pretty fast.
Right. Yeah. So he gets like skewered to the wall, and then the door opens, and it's fucking Rory, and I was like, what? And then she faints, and that, I mean, appropriate, you know.
It's Roranicus.
Oh my god. He is so precious. Mm-hmm. And
there was actually a pop
that he wasn't going to remember her, because I just couldn't bear for him to be the one that was forgotten. But no such luck.
There was a pop of Rory as the Centurion, as the Roman, and I wanted it so bad. It was only at Comic-Con, and it was before they started like releasing stuff from the cons at stores in a limited quantity. Mm-hmm. So I was never able to get it. And if I want it now, it costs a lot of money. Yeah, I'm not willing to pay a lot of money. And that's the only Rory pop they've ever put out.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's insulting.
There's only one of Amy that's ever come out too, and it's Amy in that little police uniform, which is not the version of Amy that I want.
Yeah, come on, guys. I mean, I get that it's a very distinctive thing, but I mean, that's supposed to be like her loser job that she's not proud of or happy in. Like, Don't do that.
Give me Amy in her little mini skirt, her little shorts, and her jacket. Like, don't give me Amy as the cop. That is my least favorite version of Amy. That one was also a con exclusive, so it was hard to get anyway. But
is there a pop of the Doctor coming out of a cake?
No.
That would have been a good one. They should have done that.
No. I have two different versions of the 11th Doctor. Both of them are spoilers, so I can't say what he looks like. But, and I have River.
Yeah, I would like a pop of the Doctor coming out of a cake, and then a pop of Rory wearing his, like, Rory's stag shirt.
That would be fun. I just want a Rory... I want a Rory and Amy pop. I want them looking like Rory and Amy, though. Mm-hmm. Like, I get why they made him as the Roman centurion, because it's such a big moment.
Right.
But I want Rory in his little scrubs.
His little scrubs. I forgot about that. That makes sense, though. Oh, my God. What if they made one that he had a little ponytail? a removable ponytail.
That would be so funny.
So then we have this prolonged sequence of the Doctor totally not noticing Rory, even though he calls him Rory. He does see that he's there. He just doesn't register why that is important.
Yeah.
And I have to say, the actor who plays Rory does a really good job of getting that look on his face of just...
exasperation.
It's more than exasperation. It's like resignation of just like, oh yeah, of course. He doesn't even look at me. Of course. Yeah. No, this makes fucking sense. I don't know why I expected anything different. But without like the rage behind it that somebody like I would have. For him, it's all like, you know, well, yeah, I'm not important. Why would he?
It's also different from how Mickey would have reacted.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, Rory seems to accept when people ignore him as like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
With Mickey, he's like, what the fuck? Rude. Which, yes. And finally, the Doctor turns around and comes back into the room and is like, wait a minute. What the fuck? You are supposed to be dead. What happened?
I like how the Doctor like pushes on his chest a little bit. Mm-hmm. And the actor, Arthur Darvill, like leans back a little bit and then leans forward. It's just so subtle and cute.
Like one of those clown things that you punch.
Yeah. He's just like, all right. Yes, I'm real.
And I like the way the Doctor words it. No offense, but you were supposed to be dead. You didn't just die. You were never born at all. You never even existed. And Rory doesn't know what this means. Rory, like, has some memory of dying.
He remembers dying, but he doesn't know how he, like, ended up as a Roman soldier.
Yeah.
It's not like he was reborn or grew up. He just appeared. Mm-hmm. Apparently. Like, that's how he talks about it. It's like, and then I was here.
And he tells Amy later that he has, like, Roman memories. Like, it's not just that he, as a 20th century person, was dropped into a Roman life and had to figure it out. He had the mind of somebody who had lived this. Like, there was another life happening simultaneously. Right. And what he had experienced with her and the Doctor was a dream, which is very interesting.
But he remembers it.
Yeah, and he says that, like, he began to think maybe it was a dream, but then when the Doctor and Amy appeared, when he, like, heard about them showing up, he figured the two of them were there to save him, which you would, wouldn't you?
Right.
Makes everything so much more heartbreaking. And he goes over to Amy, and, like, she's still passed out, but a little bit later, the Doctor tells him, I'm going to need you to be really brave. And I was like, you couldn't just tell him she's not going to remember you? You needed him to just put it together himself in this moment of crushing disappointment?
Rude.
What the fuck? dude. Tell him.
I mean, he gave him a hint. You were erased from existence.
All right, Doc.
But he needs to be a little clearer sometimes. Like, yeah, you were erased from existence, meaning she doesn't remember you.
Yes.
I remember you because I'm a time traveler. But she's not enough of a time traveler. She doesn't remember you.
Yeah, I still, call a little bit of bullshit on that. That, she was enough of a time traveler to remember the soldiers that went into that crack, but she wasn't enough to still remember Rory.
I think it's because there was so much grief. That's the way I took it. She was so overwhelmed with grief that he had died that he was trying to get her to focus so that she wouldn't forget him. But she couldn't. It was like she just shut down. Because when that was happening, he was like, no, hold on to him. Think about him. Think about Rory. But she couldn't think about Rory. She could only think about the fact that Rory was gone.
Okay. I'll accept it. I'll allow it. So at this point, the box begins to glow, and the symbols on it begin to sort of turn in a real steampunky unlocking mechanism sort of way. Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool looking, actually. And all of the men down there, because there's a bunch of Romans, in this cave, I guess you would call it, begin to get a little bit panicked, as you would, because all of these fucking spaceships are descending. Mm-hmm. And there's some shit that looks like straight up fireballs flying through the sky. I mean, when you get to see all of these ships from far away, it's quite overwhelming. And he starts talking to the box and says, they're all here for you. What could you possibly be? And I just also was wondering, I was just like, well, this is a pretty big event that everybody is here at the same time and not attacking one another while they have the chance. What is the deal? So, okay. I'm trying to figure out. The doctor goes up and makes his speech. Mm-hmm. Telling all of these people assembling to, first of all, shut up because I am talking, which they do. And then he tells them that they need to keep in mind all of the times that he has defeated them and do the smart thing and let somebody else try first to take him down, which I quite liked that line. I thought it was effective, in terms of being intimidating, but also funny, unexpected. I like that combination.
Funny how?
Funny, it's just been do the smart thing, and you think he's going to say walk away, and instead he says let somebody else try first.
Because he knows that there's going to be infighting over who gets to be the one to try first.
No, yeah, I get why.
Okay.
I'm saying that it's funny because you don't expect him to say well, let somebody else get fucking blown up before you. You think he's just going to be like, how about you all just don't? But he doesn't. He's just like, I know you're not going to just leave. So, maybe if there's somebody that you hate, you suggest that they maybe be the first one.
Yeah, send the weaklings out first.
Makes you think of Indiana Jones and the Lost Ark, the Raiders of the Lost Ark, when they open that trap door. And I can't remember his name, but he looks in and says, "Asps, very dangerous. You go first."
Gimli?
Yes, Gimli. I love him in that. I am the monarch of the sea. So all of the ships sort of back off here. You see Rory give the look of well, that was pretty impressive actually to the doctor, which I enjoyed. The doctor says that'll keep them squabbling for half an hour. And then we go to River, who is in the TARDIS. Now, where is she trying to go? What's she doing? She goes in there for some, and the TARDIS basically like kind of takes off on its own.
He
right?
told
like
her to, he told her to bring the TARDIS to Stonehenge. Okay. So she was just basically trying to pop over there, and the TARDIS had plans of its own.
Yeah, it had its own ideas about what the fuck is happening. I like when it begins to make the noise, and you can tell something's wrong with it. Like, it's the noise, but not right. Mm-hmm. You know? And this is when Amy wakes up and Rory realizes that she doesn't remember me. And it's the worst. It's the absolute worst. His face. Doctor. I can't believe you just let him you're just mean. You're a mean man. So River winds up at Amy's house. Mm-hmm. In the year, what is it?
2010.
Is it 2010? I thought I was going to say that, and then I was like, that's not right. Okay.
June 26, 2010.
Okay. And she goes and investigates this house, which, by the way, is like real creepy in this scene. It makes me very uncomfortable. She goes into Amy's room, which like we've been in before. And all these little dolls of the Doctor and the TARDIS we've seen before. But in the context of this like abandoned feel, it's just so very creepy looking. Mm-hmm. You know? Like under the bleak light of her flashlight. And eventually her light comes upon the edge of the book on Romans and the Pandora's Box book, which was her favorite as a kid. Mm-hmm. And this is like the dude on the cover of this book is identical to the dude that she was talking to. It's not just like, oh yeah, he looks like a Roman. His face is the same. Mm-hmm. And she begins to leaf through it and realizes that all of the people that she has seen are pulled from this book. And the legend of Pandora's Box has an illustration on the front identical to the box that they found, you know, except much bigger.
Yeah. She also finds a picture.
Oh, right. Of Rory and Amy together, and he's dressed as a centurion. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how much River knows what's going on here. She starts to say, oh no, pretty quickly.
I think she's figuring it out.
Would you figure this out?
Well,
I wouldn't know what the hell to make of this.
I don't think she knows why or how.
Right.
But she's figuring out whatever is doing this took the information from here. Mm-hmm. From Amy.
Yeah. I guess I would come to that conclusion, but I just wouldn't know what to...
And that's also why Rory is there, because whatever took this information from this book, they also took... I don't know why there's not a weird version of Amy in her police outfit.
Maybe because she was already there? Like
Maybe.
She was gonna be there, so they didn't need to have a double of her?
Maybe. But it's like it didn't know that this Rory in this costume was not part of the book.
Interesting. Well, yeah, I guess so. Huh, okay. So, yeah, she's calling up the doctor trying to, like, get some information from him, and he tells her that, like, they might have been able to kind of get access to Amy's memories by going to her house. He says something about, like, that's why there are ghosts.
Right.
It was a weird I didn't really get what that was meant to be, like, that she, like, made a psychic impression on the house, I guess.
Yeah.
But it feels like a good idea that got rushed in explanation. I don't even want to say, like, this doesn't make any sense or this is stupid. I like the idea, but I don't feel like they gave it enough time to breathe the explanation of it. I want a little bit more about how that works, or how, like, has this been done before? Because I feel like the ability to do this is real dangerous. Like, this would make me extremely nervous to know that fucking beings can just go around doing this. Yeah, we're going to go to a certain point in time. We don't even have to, like, rely on that the house you used to live in is still there and we go there and whatever. We can just go to the time that you are living there and go into your room that you still are in. And that's terrifying. You know, like, and God, what kind of messed up situation would I have found myself in if they looked at the books that I was reading as a kid? Because her stuff was like myths, one myth, and then actual history. But I would have had like Narnia books or Roald Dahl, like fucking we'd be at a chocolate factory right now kind of thing, you know? I don't know. Maybe some... I definitely was into the Bony Legs stories about Baba Yaga riding around in her house on chicken legs.
I don't know that one.
Oh, God. I loved those books. Bony Legs. Anyway. So, meanwhile, Rory is trying to talk to Amy and be cool about the fact that she doesn't remember him. And at one point, he notices that she's crying. And he asks her why. He can't, he gets very excited about it, but he doesn't really get the response from her that he's expecting, which is, oh, I'm crying because I've started to remember. She doesn't even know that she's crying. He has to mention it to her. So it's a very confusing thing. She puts her hand to his face and then says, I don't know why I'm doing that. And the look on his face and like the hope and the excitement of it is heartbreaking. It kills me. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. So then we have River telling the doctor that it's a trap. It has to be. He tells her that she's flying the TARDIS wrong. And I was like, I'm going to kill you myself, sir. How dare you? How dare you? And when she tells him when she is, he starts to pay more attention. And he tells her, okay, if the TARDIS isn't responding, shut it down and get out of there. Everything will begin to turn off if there isn't a person inside. And then we hear a voice saying, silence will fall. Is this a voice we know?
Nope.
Okay. I wanted to make sure it wasn't somebody that I should like recognize the voice. Because it's not said. So, you know, and the reaction she has, it was a little bit ambiguous to me whether or not she remembered it. Whether or not this was something that she like heard it and was like, oh shit. Or if she was just saying, oh shit, because that's a real creepy thing to be saying right now while I'm having trouble with the TARDIS, you know? So
yeah, I don't think she knows it either.
Yeah. Okay. And then we go back to Rory and Amy. Amy kind of freaks out and stands up and says, but I don't know you. I've never seen you before in my life. Which, listen, I have talked before about the reaction that I had when I first met Brendan and when I first saw Owen's picture. And it was something like this, of like recognizing somebody and not knowing why and immediately getting flipped out about it. And being like, no, I don't know them. There is no reason for me to be responding like this. Like, I met Brendan and the first thought that went through my mind was, you're going to marry that guy. And I was engaged to someone else. So my instinct was like, okay, Tosh, you better go have some water and chill out. What the fuck?
I've never had that reaction about anyone.
Oh, yeah. With Owen as well. I tweeted a thanks to, because I think I recognized his name. He donated money to the podcast. And I went on Twitter and said, thank you. And I recognized the name from like tweets because he used a similar handle. And he responded. And I hadn't really paid much attention. Like when I sent the tweet, I didn't go check his profile or anything. I just like tagged him. But then when he responded, he said something really funny. And I was like, oh, that was pretty good, actually. And I went and checked his profile and I saw his picture and I was like, immediately had this moment. He was sitting, the picture he had for his profile was him sitting on the edge of a lake, like on the roots of a tree that was growing right up on the edge of the lake. And I had this moment of total like vertigo of feeling like I was there or I was going to be there or I had been there before. It was just a moment of complete like deja vu. And then I backed up and was like, hey, don't do this. I know you and Brendan have been having problems, but this is a random guy on Twitter. What are you fucking doing / thinking? And it wound up being a similar situation as with Brendan, where I somehow knew. I did. I don't know how. It makes me wonder about like time, because it feels like something got fucking disconnected or synapses fired in the wrong direction or something. But I have not had that kind of thing with other people in my life. There hasn't been moments of that kind of recognition, only with Brendan and Owen.
It's really weird.
Yeah.
It's like, people talk about things like soulmates or like reincarnation, and how you're like basically reincarnated and you keep finding the same people. Mm-hmm. It feels like that. Yeah,
that's kind of when I had told my mom about it later. I never told anybody at the time.
Doesn't surprise me that your mom would think that.
But yeah, my mom was definitely like, well, I guess you knew each other in a past life. And she says it like completely like, well, duh.
Yeah.
The way that she does.
Like, I have met people and just known, like, I'm going to be friends with this person. Mm-hmm. It happened with my old roommate, Jamie, and I. We met through a friend. We were both he had some show he was playing at some bar, and he introduced us. And there was no reason for it, but I was like, we're going to be friends. Mm-hmm. I knew in the moment we were introduced to each other. And like in that conversation, our first conversation was, we're both named Jamie. We're born 2 days apart.
Oh,
and
weird.
I was like, so we're going to be best friends. And eventually we were. Like, she's probably the closest I have to having a sister. We lived together for 7 years. Like, she's one of my best friends in the entire world. But that's probably one of the few times in my life where I was just like, yeah, we're going to be best friends for sure. Mm-hmm. But I've never like seen somebody and just been like, oh, okay, so that's the person I'm going to end up marrying.
I wouldn't recommend it. It sounds romantic in retrospect, but it's real. It makes you feel like a real drama queen and unreliable in your own brain at the time. Like I had this reaction to the thought once it came into my head where I basically scoffed at myself. I reacted to it the way I do to most people who claim to be psychic or who claim to like be in touch with ghosts and spirits, where I just was like, okay. Yeah, definitely. Sure. Oh yeah. Yeah. You totally know what's gonna like, I was not interested. And I was annoyed at myself for thinking that, and really kind of disconnected for a little while from trying to talk to either one of them, because I was just like, well, obviously I cannot be trusted. So, and now I can look back and be like, fucking, I knew something. But yeah. At the time, it doesn't help. It doesn't make anything easier. It doesn't make you go, oh, okay, so I should go and talk to this person. It makes you resist doing that. It makes you worry in a way that I don't find helpful. I don't think it was good. I don't know. I don't like it. There it is.
Hi, Sansa.
Aw, Sansa's here.
She's decided to come join us. My God, she's so fat. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
She's such a big cat.
She's a fatty. I was telling Jamie about my fat cat catapulting off of my lap today. Pun intended. And almost fucking breaking my thigh bones. Popcorning. Right.
I wonder how much Ripley weighs, because Sansa went to the vet recently, and she weighs 16 pounds, and it is just too big.
I don't think if we weighed her that the weight would sound particularly impressive, but she's a very short cat.
So is Sansa. I actually said yesterday, I was like, you know what she is she's a corgi. She's a corgi cat. She has short little legs, and she's fat.
I meant short in length.
Oh.
But also legs actually a little bit too. But yeah, she's a cat that looks kind of stunted in growth. And I mean, she doesn't have a tail. So I sometimes wonder if there were just some issues with her, and that might be why she's not smart and extremely clumsy. She's just... you really get the vibe she's not entirely okay.
Every time you talk about how dumb she is, I feel bad for laughing.
I mean, don't. She's fine. she's.
I really need you to video her, because I don't see her in motion very much, and I want to see her.
Neither do I. That's part of the problem. But yeah, if I took her, all the videos of her in motion, she's always going to be on her back, rolling around. She loves to just roll around. I bet if she could roll everywhere, she'd do it rather than use her legs.
I'll take it. Let me just see her doing something.
All right. I'll take a photo of her or a video of her later.
Okay.
So the box begins to open. And the doctor's so distracted by this that he doesn't notice all of the Romans beginning to turn and basically approach him in a threatening manner. And meanwhile, Rory, it turns out, is one of these things, is not real, and is fighting the fact that he is not real and keeps yelling, "I'm not going. I'm Rory. I'm Rory." And this is the part where I started crying because he has enough of they did a good enough job, I guess, in constructing who he is that they fooled him too. Which is
Can I explain to you what
mean-spirited.
Can I explain to you what these things are, because we have seen them before?
Okay,
just
sure.
in a different form. In the very first episode, Rose is chased by mannequins.
Mannequins. These guys are the mannequin men?
These are autons, like those who are controlled by the Nestine consciousness. So they create things, these plastic people. And in that, they just modeled them after all the mannequins, because that's what worked for whatever their plan was. And it's kind of the same as the Santas and stuff too, that we've seen.
That actually works out pretty well, because when the doctor pokes Rory, I found it odd that he poked him in the chest plate rather than touch him on the face or his hand or something. And I guess if he had done that, he would have been able to tell he wasn't quite right.
Well, and all of the ones that we've seen before don't look like humans. You know, they don't they don't speak. They don't have full faces. They've been really just like mannequins, just plastic people. So this is high level work by these Nestine whatever.
Yeah, and even River, like, uses the argument that her lipstick worked on them, so they have to be human.
Right.
But I guess it's, like, they're trying their best to fool them, so they pretend that the lipstick worked, right?
No, it was that they don't know. They think they're human. They're given, like, consciousness.
Well, I don't mean, like, the Romans are trying to fool them. I mean, whatever consciousness created them.
Yeah,
so
made
determined to fool them.
Basically made them all sleeper agents. So it made them think they're humans. So manipulation that can be done on a human is going to work.
Right.
But then they're basically activated. Okay. That's why they all sort of fold over and then stand back up, and their programming has kicked in. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and, like, their fucking hand drops open like sliced. Ooh, did not care for that at all.
Which we also saw with those mannequins.
Yeah, okay. So the doctor's telling her, get out of there, totally unaware that these guys are standing behind him, like, ready to fire. And he is, like, I mean, the fact that he's distracted makes sense, because this box is opening, and he thinks there's going to be some kind of, like, you know, unspeakable horror within.
Yeah.
He's got his little screwdriver ready, which I find very amusing, because, like, what are you going to do with that, buddy? What do you think this is going to accomplish? But, like, he doesn't use guns, I guess. What are you going to do? And we hear that River can't open the doors later on when she can. There's just a wall.
Yep.
And Amy is looking at Rory, having kind of remembered, and he's telling her, I'm a thing. I'll kill you. Just go. Because he is, I guess, programmed to take her out. And then he keeps yelling at himself, please, no, I don't want to go. And then she says, Williams.
She remembers him.
This is when I started crying. When she remembers and they play me like her remembering is somehow going to save him. But instead he shoots her anyway. Unacceptable.
What do you think's going to happen?
I don't know.
Is Amy dead?
I mean, no. She can't be dead. I would, if she's really dead, I guess.
Wouldn't that be a shocker?
It would be a huge shocker if she was actually dead. I can't, like, the only, all that would make sense here is that if she were killed, it was like she was just a piece in the puzzle of trying to get the doctor to where he needs to be at the right time, which she may be.
That is what she was.
I mean, she is, but why her?
They knew she was his companion.
So they go back in time and put the crack in her wall because they know that she's going to be his companion?
Well, I don't have the answer to the crack in the wall yet.
Okay.
But that's why they used her memories to form the trap, because they know she's his companion. So she really was just a pawn to them.
Just, like, my assertion for a second was like, Amy's not real. But that doesn't make any sense. Does it? No. Does it?
Does it? Might. Is
What
Amy
if
real?
Amy's a robot? What if she's a plasticine thing?
Well, then she's probably not dead.
I mean, she fell low. She fell backward unconscious. She seemed very dead. I mean, it could be like a tranquilizer. Maybe it's the same shit she got zapped with. We didn't see the injury, do we?
We don't, because the show doesn't show blood.
That's true.
But she got shot in the stomach.
Right. It doesn't
by a laser gun thing.
It sounded like a laser gun. That's the noise it made.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Meanwhile, the doctor is getting gripped up by these centurions, and he's trying to, like, get something out of them about what it is they're doing and what's coming out and what's in there. You would think that by now he'd have started to realize, because I did. Mm-hmm. Once they grabbed him, I was like, oh, no. Oh, they're putting him in the box.
What's in the box?
What's in the box? But he does not get it. It really takes him a while because he is so fixated on the idea of what he thinks this is. He can't readjust his thinking quick enough. He isn't nimble in the brain. I don't want to talk about what's going on with Rory and Amy anymore because it made me very, very sad. It just killed me. It killed me.
So, there's a lot of the Doctor's enemies that show up in this room.
Yes.
You probably recognized a majority of them.
Yeah, there were some that I didn't. And it might just be because I don't remember, not because I've never seen them before. But
no, there were actually enemies in here that were from early seasons, because there are some that I don't recognize too. Okay.
So yeah, we got like the little rhinoceros guys.
Those are the
the little frat boy green guys.
Frat boy green guys.
Yeah, you know, the ones that were working with the computer kid who was real stupid.
Oh, the Santarans.
Yeah, that's their name. I call them frat boys because they do that like weird chanting thing where they like get themselves like hyped up in the way that sounds like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they just are just like, yeah, I'm so tough. I'm tougher. I'm the toughest. And I'm just like, ugh, whatever. So yeah, you look, the camera turns, the Doctor finally begins to realize what is happening here because there is an empty chair that all of its like bits and bobs are sliding out of place to make room for him to be put in there. And you start to see the real panic in his face as he's like, oh no. And as he's getting dragged in there, Amy gets shot. And she, like, Rory was trying to not do it. I hated the fact that he couldn't, like, stop himself. And meanwhile, this is all happening with no, like, dialogue anymore. And we're just getting the music. Which I think is done really well.
It reminded me, I mentioned this to Jason while we were watching it, that it reminded me of the kind of music you would hear in Lost. Especially over montages. This wasn't a montage, but the music was really reminiscent of the Lost score.
I do not remember it, but I will take your word for it. It was, I don't know, music can really make or break a thing for me. And I thought this was good.
Yeah, and it's the same composer, I believe, that has always worked on this show.
Okay.
But the difference between this music and the way music was used in a lot of emotional scenes in earlier seasons was very different. Because this was sad music and powerful, but it wasn't manipulative.
No, and it starts after you begin to realize what's happening. Mm-hmm. So I think that's key because sometimes this show will really project what's going to happen or what twist feeling you're suddenly going to start feeling by playing something that kind of gives it away. You know?
We talked about this before, that the way the music was used in previous seasons was telling you how to feel instead of letting you feel it.
Yeah.
And this is enhancing how you're already feeling. Because it's given you the time to get there yourself. This trusts its audience, where previous seasons didn't seem to trust that we would feel what we needed to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like...
Like, it's really sad that Rory... It's really, really sad. It's heartbreaking what was going on with Amy and Rory. With Rory basically begging to stay and not hurt her, and her remembering him in that moment. That's already heartbreaking enough, and we didn't need it to be emphasized by a score.
Yeah.
And it wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, it felt more like the music was like an acknowledgement.
Yeah.
Rather than instructions, which is what it can feel like sometimes.
Yeah. They trusted that we were going to get it. We were already going to be pretty upset. And also, it was just a really beautiful piece of music.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know what the music is like on Sherlock. Does Moffat use music well in that show?
Yes. It's very different. I mean, yeah, it's very different. But I think it's really well done most of the time. I think there's been one or two times that I've been like, what are you doing? But mostly it's pretty good. So yeah, we see Amy falling. And then we see the doctor finally installed in this chair.
Yes.
And he asks how the hell everybody started working together. How did this happen? And the Mega Dalek, Super Dalek, Supreme Dalek, Dalek with sour cream.
Oh, what is what is it called? It starts with an E. It's not Emperor. God, I can't remember now.
Extreme with an X.
Extreme Dalek.
Cool Ranch.
I don't remember what he's called, but yeah, the white one.
Yeah, he begins talking about the cracks in the universe. And it kind of jumps around from person to person, or being to being, I guess is the better way to say it. Where they say that all reality is threatened, all universes will be deleted. And the doctor says, so what, you've come to me for help? And they say, no, we will save the universe from you, because every calculation and projection and piece of evidence concurs that the doctor will destroy the universe. The Pandorica was constructed to ensure the safety of the Alliance. And the doctor's at this point yelling, no, you've got it wrong. A scenario was devised from the memories of your companion. And a trap the doctor could not resist. The cracks in time are the work of the doctor. It is confirmed. And
he says that it's not, that it's the TARDIS that causes the cracks in time.
Did we know this?
No, he says because he knows that the TARDIS exploded.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's been trying to piece it together, but that's what he tells them, is that it's not him that is the threat, it's the TARDIS, but he can stop it from exploding. But they have to let him go. And I think he thinks that that's what's going on with River in the TARDIS now.
Oh, okay. Because, I'm looking at let's see. Please listen to me. The TARDIS is exploding right now, and I'm the only one who can stop it. And he's screaming, listen to me, as they, finally close the box. And then this is when River yanks it open, and there's just a cement wall there. And the TARDIS begins to spark and look like it's going to explode.
Mm-hmm.
So he believes that the TARDIS exploding is what caused the cracks because it is a time machine, and its explosion just kind of jumps.
I think that's what he's telling them.
But he doesn't know.
Right.
For sure. Okay.
Because he's been seeing these cracks everywhere, so is it a chicken and the egg situation?
Right, because that's was my next question. Is like that's why they keep seeing the cracks places that he goes, because he was there, and so the TARDIS like remembers, and when it explodes, the fractures show up places that he had been.
Maybe
that's my like kind of theory. I don't even want to go so far as to like call it a theory. That sounds too formal.
And then there's all this stuff, all these explosions are happening in space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we see a bunch of planets explode one by one very suddenly.
Yeah.
And
my notes say that it's stars that have gone supernova, meaning that the cracks have started eating the universe.
Ooh. Don't care for that. Eating the universe. No. I don't like any of this. I am anti these developments.
Okay.
Poor Rory.
Well, it seems like they're all in a bit of a pickle.
Rory keeps getting used.
Yeah.
He deserves better. I like him.
I know, I love Rory.
He's a good boy.
So this was the first TV episode written by Stephen Moffat to feature aliens and monsters that he did not personally create.
Interesting. Okay.
And then almost every major enemy since the beginning of the new Doctor Who series, along with a few from the show's original run, are featured. So the Daleks, the Dravins, whatever those are, the Cybermen, the Autons, the Nestines, the Silurians, which are the lizard people.
Mm-hmm.
Draconians, I don't know what those are. The Sontarans, the Zygons, which I think we've met Zygons before. Maybe that just sounds familiar.
I don't. There was something that had like its gums and teeth on the outside of its lips, and I didn't recognize that one. That one was creepy. I did not like that at all.
I feel like we have seen that. That wasn't the Sycorax, but the Sycorax are there. The Slitheen, the Roboforms. I'm not sure what those are. The Hoiks. Oh, that's what that was. Remember, that was from Love and Monsters, which was that weird episode with the people being like absorbed into that guy.
Oh,
so
I forgot about that.
When the Doctor and Rose are running through that like warehouse, being chased or chasing that creature before they figure all of this stuff out, that's one of those. The thing with the weird gums was one of those creatures, the Hoiks.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha.
The Weevils, which I don't know any Weevils except for Weevil from Veronica Mars. The Jadoon, the Uvodni, I don't know what those are. The Atraxi, which were the ones from the first episode of this season.
Mm-hmm.
And the Hemogoths, which I don't know what those are either. Those are actually from a book. Or maybe a comic book. It just says prose. So it's from a written story.
Okay.
And then this also mentions Blowfish. It says the Weevils, Blowfish, and Uvodni are the first aliens originally from a spin-off series. So I don't know which spin-off those were from. And then there's something called Chelonians, which are from novels. And they get their first mention in a TV episode.
Chelonians.
And then there's a couple of interesting things. The episode deliberately evoked the feel of the Indiana Jones franchise.
That's funny. I didn't even like... Okay. Nice.
River's scene with the Maldivarium at the Maldivarium is a gag drawn directly from the teaser sequence of Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom.
Oh, okay. I have only seen that movie once, and I regretted all of it. So, but I pretty much it starts off like in a kind of casino setting, so I guess that makes sense.
The use of the torch or the flambeau in the cavernous Underhenge was directly inspired by the teaser to Raiders of the Lost Ark. The director actually played back a cue from Raiders while filming the sequence of the Doctor, River, and Amy entering the Underhenge to give the sequence the appropriate tempo.
Nice.
River's main costume in this story was deliberately designed to evoke both Princess Leia and Han Solo, so that she looked like, according to the director, a female Han Solo.
That's so funny, because I was looking at her and I was thinking, I had just been talking about Han Solo's costume with Owen yesterday, because he's doing like a RPG game set in the Star Wars universe. And I was looking at her costume like, it's a real Han Solo look she's got there. And then I was like, except it's all white, so it's really like Leia from Hoth. Apparently that's exactly what they were going for, so well done.
Yeah. Great jacket that she's wearing in this episode.
Yeah. I am big on white coats with fur.
I've never owned a white coat because I will get it. Well, that's not true. I have a white coat. It's my like winter coat, but it's not fancy. It's like just a solid. It's a Guess coat, but it's just a nice puffy coat that keeps me warm. But it gets so dirty that I would never want to own something nice that needs to stay nice.
Yeah, I was just watching Phryne Fisher yesterday, and she goes out in this unbelievable cream colored coat with a white fox fur collar that is like up to her cheeks, and she has this white cloche hat with her black hair and her red lipstick, and I like literally paused and just stared at her and was like, oh, I have a white coat with a white fur collar, and it's great, but it's that really like fake looking fur, because it is fake, and I don't want real fur. I would never. But real fur has a luscious look to it that fake fur just doesn't really imitate ever, no matter how good of quality it is. And I was just looking at her coat like, man, that's what my coat wishes it was. That's my coat, like, in theory. And then I got like the Wish version.
When I was a kid, my aunt had inherited a rabbit fur coat from someone, I don't know who, and I just remember like rubbing that coat on my cheek and then feeling so bad for the rabbits.
Yeah.
But still being like, it's so soft, those poor bennies.
So, all right, is there anything else? Because I want to say hi to new patrons.
We have one review.
Hey.
It's weird. The site that I use that like collects our reviews, most of them come from iTunes. This one came from something called Podchaser.
Okay.
I don't know what that is. I clicked on it to see. It seems to be a site where people review podcasts. So I'm sure this person is listening. It's 5 stars by Palindromic. There's no title for the review. They might meander off topic, but it's worth listening because they have fun conversations. It's really interesting hearing a fresh take on something that's very familiar. So thank you, whoever you are. Drop us a note somewhere and let me know what Podchaser is.
Yeah, there are so many like platforms now. I get a lot of emails that I assume they get my email from like, you know, the iTunes account that posts the episodes, that are like, don't you want to be on our platform? And I'm like, who are you? No, what? Why? So yeah, I'm not surprised to hear of another one that I had never known existed before. But thank you very much for the review. It's appreciated.
Very much. Thank you.
Okay, so new patrons. We have Julie Ryans, Jake Anderson, Robin, Florian Sauter, Rebecca Gross, Carly Mitchell, Drew Holton, Meredith, Jaman, or Jaman? Jaman? Jaman. I like Jaman. Heather Reesby, Mad Bludger, thumbs up, Leighton. I know you, Leighton.
Oh, that was Leighton. I did that for her. That was my birthday gift to her.
Aww. Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why it says giftforleighton@gmail.com.
Yep. Because I had to make a website or a email address for it. So, yeah, that was my birthday gift to her because she was
sweetie.
She was bummed that she couldn't be in the patrons only group.
Yeah. Let's see. Jalia McCreary, Morgana, Laura Manson, Helena Marshall, Julia Bergstedt, Jai Blunt, Maxwell H. Isenholt, JB, Holly, Talavin Cohen, and Pythos. So thank you so much to all of you. That was like a month's worth of patrons because I kept not being prepared. My apologies.
Thank you, everyone. You said Florian, and I, in my brain, filled it in with Fortescue.
Fortescue, yeah, totally. So, yeah, I just really appreciate you guys. I hope that you join the Mighty Network. There's also a Facebook group. And, you know, we're doing a lot of stuff. This was not actually patrons only, a Scream Into the Void episode. It wasn't even an episode. It was just like a little gathering where we just, you know, hung out, talked about things that had gone wrong or were going badly, and then screamed. It was helpful.
Did other people scream with you?
Allegedly. I don't know how honest they were being, but nobody came on camera.
Yeah.
Money, I was like, do you want to come on camera? And he was like, I mean, I will, but I won't scream. And I'm like, then why do I want you here? No. You're not coming on camera, not screaming. What's the point? But yeah, it was helpful. It was cathartic, I think. And we are coming up on the end of Breaking Dawn. It's around the corner. We've only got like 4 episodes left. So yeah, it's really maybe 3. But yeah, after that we'll be starting Mistborn. So if y'all are interested in listening to me and Miles talk about Mistborn, and Miles is like Mistborn diehard, you will want to go to patreon.com/unspoiled to become a patron. And also I will put out a personal request. I do Spoil Me episodes on commission. You can go to unspoiledpodcast.com/shop to check out how that works. I am really into the Netflix show Dark, which has been commissioned pretty steadily. And I just reached the final, like, commissioned episode last week. There are no further Dark episodes commissioned. And if it doesn't get picked up, it will be canceled. Because I can't, especially that show is very complicated. So if there's too much time between episodes, I lose track of character names, of plot threads. Like, it's just really hard. So if anybody out there is into Dark or has been listening to the episodes and hasn't contributed, if you are able to, please consider it, because I really don't want to have to cancel that show. I will be so sad. But
how many episodes are left?
I don't know. How many seasons are there of Dark?
I thought there were only like 2.
I thought there were 3. Let me double check now.
Do you want me to double check so you don't get spoiled?
It's fine. Like, I can. Netflix now doesn't. I turned off the autoplay thing.
Right. Well, you could look at IMDb as well.
That's true. Well, oh well. I'm already in Netflix. So. Now it's starting to play the episode. That's not what I asked for. Let's see. Seasons 1 and 2. Yeah, there's only season 2. And I just recorded. Oh, wait a second. Oh my God.
Did you record the last episode?
I recorded the last episode. That's it.
Yep.
That's it. That's where it stopped, season 2?
I had a feeling because I remember somebody saying,
bastards.
I remember someone saying that they had commissioned the whole season.
Oh my God. They ended it there? That's so mean. Oh my God. Hold on. Dark season 3.
Well, I'm going to jump on your request since that doesn't exist yet.
Set for release June 2020, and I'm already into my June commissions.
Yeah, but they can't commission it until it's actually out, and things have been delayed.
No, they can commission before it's out because I am in, like, my commissions are in June. They're in mid-June. So they can just be like, season 3, episode 1. They don't have to, like, know what the title is.
Okay, fine. I'm going to jump on anyway and ask for help with Shadow and Bone because I'm the only person commissioning that. And I really want you to be able to read all those books.
Agreed. I really have been enjoying Shadow and Bone. So, you know.
I did commission one, I think last week or the week before I was able to do a commission. I have been on lockdown for so long and not going shopping. So even the little bits of internet shopping that I've done, I have more money than I realized. Hey. So I'll probably commission another episode the next time I see one pop up. So there's not much of a gap. But we're in the first book of Shadow and Bone. There's 3 books. And then I'm going to want you to do King of Scars. So I could use some help, guys. If you feel like commissioning something and you're a fan of Leigh Bardugo's Grishaverse, please help me out. Otherwise, I'll get it done eventually, but I just don't like there being big gaps.
I can't.
Plus, I do want to start Broadchurch as soon as you have an opening. So
right.
Remember to keep track of when things are ending so that I can jump in and do Broadchurch at that point.
Yeah, once I'm have more space cleared, I will definitely be making like an announcement about that and stuff. So,
okay.
I can't believe that was just like it, and now I have to just wait like a friggin' chump. All right, well,
Dairy Girls is going to have a 3rd season too, but I don't know when that's coming out.
Oh, I love that show so much.
I was watching some little fun thing that they put on their Instagram or their Twitter or something that was, it was Orla and Aaron. And it's like they were on lockdown of some sort. And they were in the closet making this video. And it's really funny. It's like 5 minutes long or something. And while I was watching it, Jason was like, "Are you watching a new Dairy Girls? Is there a new Dairy Girls and you're watching it without me?" And I was like, it's 5 minutes. It's not a new episode yet.
Yeah, thank you very much to Ashley, who she basically commissioned like 2 full seasons alone, and it was wonderful.
Yeah, that show's really great.
All right, is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
I don't think so.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you again so much for listening and for becoming patrons and for leaving reviews. We really, really appreciate it. Mm-hmm. And we will be seeing you next week with a new episode. Until then, toodaloo, motherfuckers.
Bye.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.